And Kathleen, can we have a roll call?
Yes. Commissioner Blanco,
Here.
Commissioner Lopez,
Here.
Commissioner Dickerson is absent, Commissioner Mohajer,
Here.
Chair Seifert.
Here. Thank you. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes, and do we have a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes from May 3rd, 2023.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes are approved. At this time, we're going to go to our public comment period. Each member of the audience may address the commission on any subject within the commission's business. Each member of the audience and each subject is limited to the discussion of 3 minutes or as otherwise directed by chair. This time, we're going to go to Dana and get the Zoom people going.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. If you are on Zoom and you wish to comment on an agenda item, please use the raised hand icon on the Zoom platform. Once you are recognized, you will then be unmuted and allowed to comment on the business at hand in the order received. The maximum comment time is 3 minutes or as otherwise directed by the chair. If you are calling in on Zoom and you wish to be acknowledged, please raise your hand by dialing *9 and identify yourself when unmuted.
Do we have anyone in the audience that wish to speak? Is there anyone on Zoom?
No one on Zoom.
Okay, we're going to go right into our public hearings. And I don't have my paper. Oh, we're saving paper. Number 5A, Blosser Ranch, Lot 7 apartments at the southeast corner of Blosser Road and La Brea Avenue. And do we have any ex parte?
Yeah, Chair, I do. I had a meeting with the applicant and Lori Tamura earlier this week.
I did as well, Chair.
Mr. Chairman, I did a while back a video conference, and I will be recusing myself for a potential conflict of interest. For this, they're the same owners as the previous project that was just south of here, or I'm sorry, just east of here. So I will recuse myself from this item.
Thank you, Commissioner. I, too, spoke with the team and with Lori Tamura. So that's our ex parte, and let's go right into the, well, let's wait 1 second. And let's go right into it. Do we have a staff presentation?
Yes, thank you, Chair Seifert and Commissioners. This is Dana Eady, the Planning Manager, and I'm going to be giving the presentation this evening. This is for the Blosser Ranch Lot 7 apartments. So the project site is located within the Blosser Southeast Area 5B specific plan. The entire specific plan is 145 acres in size, and it's currently utilized for ag cultivation. And the surrounding development to the site is single-family residential to the south, Adams School and Manami Park to the east, the fairgrounds and Santa Maria High School are to the northeast, and then additional single-family residential to the north, and some multifamily residential and single-family to the west. So this is the existing zoning and land use designations for Area 5B. The property that we're going to be looking at for this project is located in the southwest corner of the site. It's the area that I have outlined in red. It's approximately, this is a little outdated, this slide. It's actually around a little over 9 acres in size. It's zoned high-density residential with a planned development overlay. So the zoning is PD R3, and the land use density is HDR 22, which is 22 dwelling units per acre. The specific plan includes area for single-family residential, and there has been a recent project that your commission has approved on a couple lots within the single-family residential portion of the project that I'll have on a separate slide. But there's also area for additional high-density residential development a new school that would be in the area that is zoned PDPF, which is public facilities. And then there's also a planned sports complex here on the eastern side of the project site. And then this area here is slated for some retail commercial development and also potentially a new fire station located in this area. So this is the approved Blosser Southeast Area 5B Master Tract Map. And again, this is the project that I am presenting to you this evening. Lots 8 and 10 of the tract map, which are here, had a project that was approved by your commission back on May 3rd. And so that was the first phase of the residential development on this, in this area. And so, but that was focused on the single family. So now this is the first multifamily residential project that your commission is reviewing. This is an affordable housing project, and so I'll go into more detail on that in additional slides. And then you can see here, this is actually this is something the applicant put together, and it shows at full build-out what the entire specific plan area would look like. So you can see the sports complex is over in this area here. Then you have additional single-family development here and in this area, and then this is multifamily along here, and then this is the area that would be for retail commercial. So I think this is a pretty effective slide to just show what it would look at full build-out. This is the school in this area here. So just to go over the Blosser Southeast Area 5B specific plan, states that in the high-density residential zone district, that the purpose of that zone is that projects there should be designed to maintain the residential character of the district for high-density living with substantial space for cooperatively used facilities and open spaces distributed throughout. The specific plan has a few key objectives, and that is to provide a coordinated residential, commercial, school uses, and amenities in one central location, to provide safe pedestrian and bicycle connections and safe roadways around the site, and to develop the property with a variety of housing types to attract diverse community income groups and to assist the city in complying with state housing mandates. So this is the proposed site plan. The project includes 301 apartment units. 13 of those units would be affordable to very low, persons who qualify for at very low income. The site includes 5 buildings and a community center or clubhouse. So you have building A and then building B. These are longer buildings that wrap around the edges of the site. And then building C are here, and then building D. And then the clubhouse is here, sort of in the center of the property. There are a mix of studio, 1, 2, and 3-bedroom units. The parking for the site is around the exterior. So you have the buildings kind of clustered in the middle, you have the open space areas, seating areas, the pool and spa, that's all in the center of the property, with parking around the edges. So there are 527 parking spaces that would be provided. Some of the spaces are tandem spaces, and that is allowed per the specific plan and the municipal code. The one thing that's important is to make sure that the tandem spaces are assigned to a particular unit, and the project is conditioned. There's a condition of approval in the permit that requires that be completed through the building permit process. The project also includes a number of solar carports. So 264 of the spaces are going to be covered with solar carports. And then the building height is at around 40 feet. There are some structures on the buildings that go higher than 40 feet, but those are architectural features that I will explain in further detail. So this project is an affordable housing project, and it does qualify for a density bonus. And so the existing land use designation is 22 dwelling units per acre, and that allows a maximum of 260 units. However, because this project is proposing 5% of the units, or 13 units, as affordable to persons making at or below 60% of the area median income, the project then can qualify for a 20% density bonus. So that actually allows 52 units for up to 312 possible units on the site. This project is proposing 301 units, so it's actually under the number of units that they could build under the density bonus. And so under the state density bonus law, the project qualifies for one concession or incentive. It also qualifies for waivers from development standards, and the parking is under the state density bonus law requirements. So the applicant is asking for one concession or incentive, and that is to increase the 35-foot maximum building height to an average of 40 feet, and then there's some tower elements that range from 43 feet up to 50 feet. And then there's one requested waiver, and that is to, it's requesting a reduction in the 20% landscape requirement, and it's a 1% reduction. So they're at 19.07%, and the requirement's 20%. The parking for the project, because again, this is an affordable housing project under the state density bonus law, the parking requirements fall under that state law. And so according to state law, they would only need to put in 386 spaces, but the applicant is providing 527 spaces. So it's significantly higher than what would be required under the state law. So this is an example of the building materials and then the lighting fixtures that are proposed. Spanish tile architecture is proposed with this project on all 5 buildings. The reason is that this lot is directly adjacent to lots 8 and 10, which are the single-family lots that your commission recently approved, and the architecture for those lots is also Spanish style. So the intent is that this would blend in with that other project. There are other architectural styles that are proposed for other areas within the specific plan, such as a farmhouse and craftsman style, and so your commission's going to see those come forward in the future. So the architectural features here include wrought iron railings on the balconies, canvas awnings on the windows, white and tan stucco walls, wood beams, and then some ceramic tile accents and complementary lighting fixtures. This is from the plans, and it shows the gated entrance to the site. It would be gated, and this also shows an example of the design of the solar carports. And I think what's important to point out here is that the entrance design is intended to be complementary with the rest of the architecture of the building. So there's an S-tile roofing material, stucco. The design is very similar to what you see on the buildings that are adjacent to it. And then this is the layout of the entrance. So they are proposing to put in a dog park area, which is number 7, that's just adjacent to the entrance and exit. There's a pedestrian walkway that would connect that area to the rest of the site with sidewalks throughout. There's parking located adjacent to it as well. Landscaping, including trees and other areas for plantings that are in the entrance to the site. So these are the building elevations for Building A. All of the buildings look very similar. There are some, architectural features that are different throughout the buildings, but the overall color scheme and accents and the design of the buildings are very similar. So as I mentioned before, the applicant is requesting a concession to have the maximum building height at 40 feet, and that 40 feet runs right along here, right along the roof line. And then there are some additional features like these tower elements that go up to 43 feet on this particular building. The building has two color schemes. There's white and then a tan color, and then there's some of the tile accents throughout different areas of the building. The applicant has some different views of how these buildings will look. It's a little hard to tell on these slides, but there are sections of the building that are set back from other sections. So it's not just a flat building. There's definitely articulation along the facade of the building. So this is Building B. This building has a higher tower element. I think this is the one that goes up to around closer to 50 feet, but the rest of it is still at that 40-foot roof line, and then these are at the 43 feet. So that just shows the elements that go a little bit higher. And then these are the elevations for Buildings C and D, which are pretty similar. This is the elevation of the proposed community building. It is 1 story, and then along the rear of it, there's a swimming pool, a spa, some outdoor seating areas and barbecue areas. There's also a children's play area, or a tot lot, as we call it, and then some shaded cabanas and things like that. This is the floor plan of the community building. There's a fitness center or fitness room. There's a great room, restrooms, an office, and also a study room as well over in this area. And then you can see the pool and the spa on the back side of the building. And there's some of the amenities that the applicant has proposed for the project. Again, the pool and spa, cabanas, and shaded seating areas, fire pits. And so there's just some photos here of what they intend to put in ultimately. There are outdoor spaces that are proposed throughout the project, and those are really centered towards the middle or center of the site. So this is more towards the southern end of the site, and it's just showing some of the examples of the outdoor seating areas and landscaping that they would be putting in here. And then this is more towards the middle of the property. Again, there's some fire pits, barbecue areas, seating areas. There's walkways all throughout the middle of the site. This is the landscaping exhibit. So the landscaping is proposed at 19% of the site. The site's 9.31 acres. Again, it is 1% below the 20% that's required per the specific plan, but they are requesting that as a waiver under the state density bonus law, which they can request. The area that's in green shows all the areas that would be landscaped, and there's also quite a bit of landscaping that is around the parking areas as well. So this is a tree planting plan. The total, so there's 226 trees per this planting schedule that would be installed kind of throughout the main area where the buildings are located. And then there's an additional 103 trees that would be planted in the parking areas. There's actually only 88 required per the specific plan, but they're putting in 103. And there's 8 different species of trees that are called out to be planted. The sizes range from about 15 gallons to 24-inch box. The only trees that it would be at 15 gallons are the crepe myrtle trees, but all the rest of the trees would be at a 24-inch box size. And then this is just an example of some of the trees and the other shrubs and ground covers that the applicant is looking at planting. So it's a pretty varied mixture of trees and shrubs and ground covers. And then there's a second look here that has even additional. So the idea is to have a mixture of really nice landscaping throughout the whole area of the site. So for environmental review, this project was covered in an adopted supplemental environmental impact report that was adopted when this specific plan was adopted. And so no further environmental review is required for this project. And so in conclusion, staff recommends that the Planning Commission by motion approve the plan development permit PD 2022-13 as conditioned. And that, before I conclude, I did want to mention that we did receive two letters and an email in support of the project. The letters that we received, one of them is dated June 7th, 2023, and it's from Stellar Exploration. And they are in support of the project, and they state that they believe the project will bring numerous benefits to the community and contribute to the continued growth and prosperity of Santa Maria. And that basically it will offer affordable housing options that are needed in the area. And then there's another letter from the Home Builders Association, also dated June 7th, 2023. And it states that we believe this multifamily project will positively contribute to the rental needs of our city with a variety of apartment options from studio to 3-bedroom. And it also offers a variety of housing to a diverse group of Santa Maria residents. And then late this afternoon, I received another email from Sue Anderson with Marion Regional Medical Center, also in support of the project, and noting the importance of housing as they seek to attract new talent to the hospital. So that concludes my staff presentation. The applicant is here, and they have a presentation as well, and I'm available for any questions, so thank you.
Thank you, Dana. Do we have any questions for staff?
Maybe one.
Commissioner Blanco.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Dana, can you explain the density numbers a little bit in terms of, the 220 or 260, I think it was, but it's the acre, that's 22, right? It's the density is 22 DUs per acre, but how does that all add up to the total that we got?
Sure. So when you look at this site and you look at the land use designation, it's noted as 22 dwelling units per acre. So when you do the math, that ends up coming in around 260 dwelling units because the site is around 9.3 plus or minus acres. So it's 260. You can build more, though, under the state density bonus law if you build a certain number of units that are on a particular affordability level. So for this project, the applicant is proposing that 5% of the units, which is 13 units, would be affordable to persons who qualify that are making below 60% of the area median income. So that's a very low income. And so under the state density bonus law, if you have 5% of the units, that allows you to essentially add 20% more units above what the land use designation allows. So in this case, it's 260 units, but because they are going to be deed restricting 13 units to a very low income, that means that they have the option of actually building 312 units on this site. So they're not doing 312 though, they're only going to do 301, but that's how that works. the density bonus law allows you to build over what is allowed if you have affordable units.
So I guess my question is, I want to make sure that the unit count's good, but I guess my understanding is if it's 22 units per acre on the 9.3, that doesn't give you 260. That would give you something different, less, and then the affordable units on top of that. I mean, maybe we still get to the same number, but it just seemed weird to me that 260, the math doesn't quite add up, on 9.3 acres, so. Just want to make sure there's not a math error on that. I mean, obviously,
Yeah,
that's not a minor oversight, but I don't know what that adds up to be, 180
We can
or
check that
90 or
again.
something.
We can check that again, but Mark wants to speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, Commissioner Blanco, that it's not within my realm, but I believe it might be based on the gross area of the site, which I think might be 11.7 acres based on the site plan that's provided by the applicant.
That is correct. It's a gross versus net issue.
Okay, so maybe the site plan somewhere, one of the exhibits said gross acreage 9.3, maybe that was net acreage, and the gross is actually more than that? The 11 point something or other?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So we did all of that research before we brought this forward for you tonight. This was done by our senior planner, many months ago. And so I probably should have gone into more detail about the gross versus net, but that is the case. So basically, with the density bonus, they're allowed to build up to 312, and they're at 301.
Yeah, I understand the bonus. I just wasn't sure about the initial math.
Yes.
And maybe that's just the engineer in me looking at the numbers too much, but
Thank you.
any event, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Blanco. Dina, I don't think we've, at this point, I don't think we've approved anything 50-foot tall at this point, right? I think we allowed something at the Ephraim's, that cell tower. We went above 45 there, but is this different for the area?
So Commissioner Seifert, no, because they're architectural elements. So the municipal code talks about the height limit of buildings, but then it mentions that architectural features can exceed the height limit, and there's discretion on that. So we've had other projects like Centennial Gardens, for example, and the Betaravia Place apartments that came recently, and those were, I know for Betaravia Place, that was a 5-foot increase to allow for the 10-foot high ceilings, which is the case here. This project does have those architectural elements, though, that go up to 50 feet, and I don't think those other projects had that. So that would be something different that this applicant is asking for.
I thought so. And of course, the fire department has looked at the egress, access, and entrance. Everybody's, he's had a chance to take a look at all this and approved it?
Yes, so the fire department has reviewed the project, and they've actually issued conditions that are on the project that are in the permit.
Okay,
And
good.
they didn't have, there were no concerns about the building height that were noted. It's a 3-story building, but it just has those architectural features that are taller. And the applicant can talk about more about why they have the building that tall. Part of it is to allow for a better-looking building, but they can go into more detail as well about the overall architectural features. And
I just wanted to see
do
what we
that.
had in the area. I didn't remember anything going quite up to 50.
Yeah, I think that we haven't had any that I'm aware of that have architectural features that go up that tall. But the code allows it, allows your commission to approve it, and they're also asking for it as a waiver under the state density bonus law. So that's something for your commission to consider as well, is they're asking for it as a waiver from the development standards because they fall under that density bonus allowance.
Gotcha. Thank you. I'm sure you guys are showing, I didn't see the covered parking, so when you get up and do your presentation, could you just point that out? At this time, we're going to have the applicant presentation, so please come up, state your name and address for the record. And
Good
Good
evening,
evening.
members of the Planning Commission. Tamak Yamini and with Canfield Development. Dana, if you don't mind, can I get the, yeah. Thank you. First and foremost, thank you guys for hearing about our project tonight. Thank you to the planning staff. I know Carol's not here, but thank you to Dana, Carol, and Department of Public Works, and everybody at the city for helping us bring this forward to you guys tonight. Blossom Ranch is a master plan community that is located between Blosser, let me see, there you go. Blosser, Stowell, Depot, and Battles Road. It's Area 5B. In March of this year, the City Council voted to record the final map that subdivides the overall site into 12 master lots. As Dana mentioned earlier, in May, you guys approved the lots 8 and 10 single-family development, and lot 7 is directly adjacent to that, to the west. And it's bounded by La Brea Avenue, Battles Road, and our stormwater basin, and runs along Blosser Road. And that's the site highlighted in orange. I just want to remind the commission just some of the infrastructure that's going in together to support this project. The first phase of the infrastructure that's going to go in is the build-out of La Brea West, the entrance to the community off of La Brea, build-out of Western South, build-out of the roundabout that's at the center of the site, the stormwater basin, which is Lot 12, located directly south of the site and directly south of Lots 8 and 10. The undergrounding of the Battles Channel. So the Battles Channel runs along Battles Road, and we are working with the county to actually do an undergrounding of the channel that allows for a really nice landscaped, almost like a park directly on top of it that makes it usable for the community. There'll also be the Stowell and Blosser intersection widening all the way at the top of the screen. It's circled in blue. And there's a walking trail along Battles as well. We will be upgrading the existing sewer line from 15-inch to 24-inch. And there are 3 new traffic signals, one at La Brea and Blosser, one at Western and Battles, and one at Thornburg and Battles. And there'll also be the street widening and improvements along Blosser Road. That's part of the reason why there's that gross and net number of the acreage, is because of the substantial widening that's happening along Blosser, along the site. Just a quick reminder of the public amenities. So there's the 19-acre the 19-acre sports complex. Canfield has signed an MOU, memorandum of understanding, with the city, dedicating the 19 acres in exchange for the Quimby fees associated with the site. This is no out-of-pocket cost to the city for the land. And we're working with the Department of Public Works to move that plan forward. I know that they've been doing some testing on that site, so that's a really exciting addition to the community. There's also 2 other public amenities. One of them is a 23-acre new school. We're in talks with the Santa Maria Bonita School District to get that going, and we'll update you guys as there's new updates. There's also a 2-acre new fire station, which is going to be located on the commercial site, which is directly north of Lot 7 across La Brea Avenue. The fire station wasn't included as part of the specific plan. It was something that was brought to us as a need for the community, and so we decided to dedicate 2 acres on our commercial site. It's highlighted in red on the other side of La Brea Avenue, which is the exact spot that the fire station requested, or the fire department requested, for this new station. And this will also be in exchange for fire fees. Again, no out-of-pocket costs to the city on this one as well. This is just a site overview, and I know Dana kind of ran through it, so I'll try to be as quick as possible. But as Dana mentioned, all the parking is along the perimeter of the site, and we kept all the residential buildings at the center, really creating that wonderful resident experience down the center corridor of all between these buildings, and we'll go through some of those amenities in a moment. The covered carports are located, they're a little highlighted on the very perimeter of the site, and also closer to the buildings, you'll see some highlighted parking spots, and those are the covered carports. And it amounts to 50% of the parking being covered. There's also some tuck-under parking in Building B and Building A, which counts towards that covered parking. Just a quick overview. So Lot 7 is the first multifamily development in Blossom Ranch. There'll be 2 more multifamily developments which we'll bring forward. It's 301 units. It's a mix of studios, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom units. 5% or 13 units are set aside for very low-income families. This is a professionally managed, private gated community. The community will include state-of-the-art amenities, which we'll go through in a moment. This is a Spanish Mediterranean-style architecture in compliance with the specific plan. It is directly adjacent to lots 8 and 10, which has that similar architecture. And you'll see a rendering of it, which kind of shows that articulation and the colors and material choices shortly. There's complementary green spaces throughout the project, easy access to public transport, the future retail, park, and school. 50% of it is covered parking. And this is a green community which includes solar, EV charging, and reduced greenhouse gas. So the unit mix is in that table below, which amounts to 301 units. The allowable units, by providing 5% affordable, amounts to a 20% bonus to 312 units. We are choosing to only put 301 units on the site to make sure that we're adequately parked and that we're adequately amenitized for this size project. This is a rendering of the clubhouse that you see on the screen, which includes a lounge, a family area, a children's study room, a game room, private dining room, and a chef's kitchen, a fitness center with showers, a business center. There's also some short-term bike parking directly in front of the building. There's a leasing management office and a package delivery center in this building as well. Some highlights of the amenity package. So directly outside the clubhouse, there's a pool, there's a spa with some shaded seating and chaise lounges. There's a barbecue area directly adjacent to the clubhouse that allows for families who are hosting a party to be able to barbecue while they're doing that. There's also a fire pit lounge area directly adjacent to the spa, and this is a gated area for safety. There's also a top lot, which is located at the top left part of your screen, and you can see on the bottom part of the slide a kind of a picture of what that tot lot might look like. This is kind of this. It's a natural park that's designed. Scientists have put together a park which looks at the way children play, and it's really futuristic. I don't know all the details about it, but we've our architects have found this company, and it's a really cool company, and that's what we're implementing for this tot lot. 3 other areas that I'm going to highlight, just to point out there are 6 areas that are amenitized. I'm just highlighting these 3. There's a pet run directly at the entrance of the property with pedestrian access into the building and throughout the site. There's also a barbecue and outdoor dining and lounge area. So there's a total of 6 barbecues, and some of those barbecues include Santa Maria barbecues throughout the site, as you can see in the pictures under the layouts. There's also a Zen space, which is all the way on the south side of the site to kind of keep you away from the noise. And that's a turf-covered spot, which has mounds and has some really nice seating in those areas as well. There's fire pits and lounge areas, and also some other areas which are quiet for somebody who's working from home that might want to, get some fresh air and work in between these landscaped areas. There'll also be string lights and outdoor gaming, such as outdoor ping pong and life-size chess. So now we'll go into the parking. On the right-hand side of the screen is a rendering of the project. You can kind of see from the profile that it's really well articulated, but I wanted to focus on the parking first. There are 527 parking spaces provided in this neighborhood. Only 386 spaces were required per California Government Code Section 65915, which is the state density bonus law. The way we look at the market is we like to park at least 1 parking space per bedroom, and we meet that. We are actually above that. And we also provide some parking spaces for guests and loading and unloading. There are some tandem spots located at the east part of the site. The tandem spaces will be assigned to one unit. They won't be separated, and that's a condition in our conditions of approval. There are EV charging stations that are going to be provided, 1 per unit, which is well above the code requirement, again, preparing for the future. And there'll also be some EV charging spaces provided at the clubhouse for guests who want to charge their car as they're visiting the neighborhood. 50% of the parking spaces are covered. I will point out that density bonus law does not require that any of the parking spaces be covered. Nonetheless, we decided to cover 50% of the parking spaces. We feel like that's necessary and adds to the project. And again, this is a professionally managed community that will enforce the parking rules. This just gives you an idea of the access to the site. So at the bottom right corner, which is the southeast corner of the site, the northeast corner of the site, off of La Brea Avenue, there's the main entry and exit. There's also pedestrian access there right adjacent to that pet park. There's an exit only off of Blosser Road, which allows you to only make a right turn onto Blosser Road. This was kind of changed since our study session. The initial main entry was off of Blosser Road. We made that change so that we pulled the main entrance off of the high-speed road of Blosser. And as you go out of the site on Blosser Road, you're going to only be able to make that right turn. There's a median divider. I know that there's another site across the street which is going through planning right now, but their exit is directly south of the site, and that's at least 150 feet south of this entrance, so you can't make that left turn onto Blosser Road, again, maximizing safety. There's also 2 additional pedestrian access points, one on the north side, giving you access to the future retail and the park and the school. An additional access point was added at the southern part of the site, which is close to the future bus stop, which you can see all the way on the top left part of the screen, just to, again, allow for people who want to use public transport to have easy access to the bus stop. Uh-oh. Yeah. There we go. So the community entry, so you can see the gated entry off of off of La Brea Avenue. The entry gate is at 45 feet from the back of the sidewalk in lieu of the 25 feet that's required per code. We felt that that was necessary to allow for vehicles not to pile up and start stacking on La Brea Avenue. And we'll show you a slide in a moment of how many cars it could actually hold in a very far-fetched event. The gate is access control automated for the resident. So as the resident pulls up to this gate, there's a little reader on the entry that reads a little sticker that's installed for residents on their license plate, and that automatically opens the gate. So there won't be a pileup at this front gate for residents. And there's also a call box for guests and vendors in that median at the center of the entryway. And this can accommodate 13 cars before we overspill into the street. And again, those cars would have to those cars would have to be there either as guests or vendors and not gaining access to the site. This is that kind of slide showing how many cars could actually fit here. Obviously, I don't think this would happen, or definitely not happen often, but this just gives you an idea of how many cars we can actually support in this area. You can see that it's 45 feet set from the back of sidewalk in lieu of the 25 feet that's required, and what that would have looked like at 25 feet. So we take pride in our community safety. This is a preliminary CCTV plan, just to give you an idea. This includes 70 security cameras. Again, this is a private gated community that's access controlled. So there's 70 security cameras throughout the community. There's a security patrol in the evenings, well-articulated crosswalks and differentiation of materials and colors, abundant of site lighting, and it's a professionally managed community that will ensure the safety of the residents, meaning that they have someone to call if there's an issue. They're not just gonna, have to deal with issues on their own. There's a management that's actually on the site. This gives you an idea of the landscape design. I know Dana kind of ran through this, so I'll just point out the one major point, which is that in the parking area, there are 155 parking lot trees, which includes all the trees at the perimeter wall along Blosser. So I just wanted to point out that 88 parking trees are required. We're providing 155 trees in lieu of the required 88. We think it adds to the neighborhood. You'll see in a future slide a rendering of the view from Blosser Road and really how this landscaping really does help the look of the community from Blosser Road and from the surrounding neighborhoods. This is a rendering of one of the buildings on Lot 7. This gives you an idea. Obviously, all the buildings look very similar. They're different. but it gives you an idea of the articulation. There are multiple material choices, which we'll get to in a moment, but this gives you the idea of the scale of the building and the color material choices. The buildings are also set back substantially because they're at the center of the site, really ensuring that as you're driving down the street, this is not a towering building looking, towering at the edge of a property line. This is set back so it won't feel as large. These are some of the materials that we'll use as a part of this project. It's white stucco with a warm earth tone or tan accent. There's Spanish S-tile, decorative ceramic tile accents under the windows and over the archways. There are wood accents with rafters and beams, balcony wrought iron features, balcony stucco wall features. There's also a barrel tile stucco wall feature. There's decorative lighting, window awnings, window shutter treatments, as well as black framed windows and doors. This is the view of the building as you're driving down or biking down Blosser. And again, it gives you an idea of some of the improvements we're doing along Blosser as well. You see we're really widening the street. We're adding a nice parkway, an additional landscaped area behind the sidewalk, and then a 10-foot sidewalk for public use. There's also a bike lane, which is going to be installed along Blosser Road as well. So it gives you a good idea of how this building will look from Blosser Road. Again, it's set back substantially from the property line because of the parking along the perimeter, and really adds to the neighborhood. So the density bonus allows for an incentive to add additional height to buildings. This gives you an idea. This is a section of an elevation on the left-hand side of the screen. It gives you an idea where the heights are at. So the top of the actual building units are at 33 feet, which is well below the 35-foot allowable height. The tower elements and the eaves, which complement the Spanish architecture, is why we are above the 35-foot requirement. So it's not that the units are extending above the 35-foot requirement. This is for visual interest and architectural features. Additionally, some of these tower elements that you see on the screen were added to the project to provide privacy between two balconies. And instead of putting a low wall in between two balconies that are adjacent to each other, which would create minimal privacy, we added this tower element. So really thinking about the residents and thinking about the people who would live on this site. So the result would be an average roof height of 40 feet, including the eaves, with the several tower elements ranging between 43 to 50. I will point out that all the tower elements are actually below 45 feet. They're at 43 feet. There is one tower element at the entry which extends above that, and that's to create that wow moment when you drive into this community, and that's why you have that tower element at the entry, and again, lending itself to the Spanish and Mediterranean architectural theme. So density bonus parking lot, this is a little sketch of the covered parking that you can see on the screen. There's a total of 527 parking spaces. Again, state density bonus law only requires you to provide 386. We're providing 141 spaces beyond the required parking. And again, we're covering half of these spaces, as you see on the screen, and there's a little breakdown of how these parking spaces lay out. So standard parking stalls, there's a total of 319 of those standard stalls, 181 of them covered, 138 uncovered. Tandem spaces, there are 78 of them covered, 116 uncovered, for a total of 194. And then accessible parking spaces with ADA access, 5 covered, 9 5 covered, 9 uncovered, a total of 14, totaling 527 parking spaces. The final waiver we are requesting is a 1% reduction in the 20% landscaping requirement. So you see on the screen the highlighted green spaces. I'm going to point out that some of the areas, for example, the Zen space, which we looked at earlier, has turf, and the pet park has DG, which the code doesn't allow you to include as part of your landscaped area, which is why we're a little bit below the 20%. But if you added those areas, we'd be above the 20% requirement. And again, it's a really well-designed landscape project. Dana kind of ran through those slides with the pictures of the plants and the trees. And all the trees are native to Santa Maria, and they're drought tolerant. So this is going to be a really successful landscaped project. In conclusion, these are the changes that we've made since we presented this project initially to staff and to you, to this body at the study session back in April. The main entry was moved from Blosser to La Brea. The allowable units, which are 312, again, we're shrinking to 301 to make space for all those amenities and the additional parking. The allowable parking is 386 spaces. We've provided 141 additional spaces beyond that requirement for a total of 527. The building design was a white stucco, and now you can see there's multiple accent colors and materials. Pedestrian access, so initially we had 2 access points. We added that 3rd access point near the future bus stop along Blosser Road so that people can access the public transport. There's a children's study room which was added at the direction of the Planning Commission, and the sidewalks throughout this neighborhood have been updated from 4-foot sidewalks to minimum 5-foot sidewalks. We have a lot of them that are beyond the 5-foot size as well. Parking lot trees, again, 88 are required per code, 155 trees provided on this site. And with that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Commissioner Wahhajar.
Thank you for the presentation. So I just wanted to elaborate a little bit about the parking. I understand the state requires only 386, but from the materials that we have provided, it shows that the city requires 602 spaces for a project of this magnitude. Can you elaborate why you couldn't reach a little bit closer to the 602?
Yeah, I mean, we extended it as much as we could. We even lost units to make that happen. I will point out that this city's parking requirement is at 2 spaces per unit, whether it's a studio, which would have generally 1 resident in there, all the way up to a 4-bedroom, which might have, 4 or 5 people living in that unit and still only require 2 parking spaces. So if you look at our unit mix, the way we park our projects and what we feel is market is 1 parking space per bedroom, and we achieve that with the 527 spaces.
Okay, and then with that being said, say we have a resident who rents out the 3-bedroom. They are guaranteed the 3 parking spaces for their 3 bedrooms?
No, we're just preparing for that scenario. Most people with 3 bedrooms, believe it or not, have only 2 cars. It might be mom and dad and some little ones. So they, most of the time, have 2 cars, leaving that space open for other residents as well. But the rule of thumb is 1 space per unit. But it won't always be allocated like that. It's depending on how many cars the resident, and how many parking spaces the resident wants to use in the project.
Thank you. I'd just like to add one item on that. So I mentioned it in the presentation, but some of the spaces are tandem, meaning cars would be parking, 1 behind and 1 in front. So those 2 spaces will have to be dedicated to a particular unit, because it would be very difficult if you had like 1 for 1 unit, 1 for the other, and, someone's in the way and they can't leave.
Right.
So those spots will have to be called out for those units. to
Okay.
serve them.
And then, so with the 527 spaces being provided, that includes the guest spaces.
Correct.
And then what is the exact number of that?
So it kind of varies. Generally, our projects, we like to keep a 5% vacancy rate for turnover. And so you don't have all the parking spaces occupied at any given time. So it depends on how many residents are living, but we're never fully occupied. But you'll have minimum of at least 5 guest spaces, but it'll be well beyond that because, again, 5% of our units stay vacant generally for turnover and other reasons as well.
So operationally, there is no designated space for like guest parking specifically?
Oh, no, there'll be designated spaces directly in front of the clubhouse, which is for
Okay.
parking and for future residents who are coming to tour the project. And those will be designated as guest spaces, and none of the residents would be able to park in those spaces. But additionally, beyond that, there are additional spaces that won't be used because of the vacant units that allow us to, if there are additional guests that come through, and let's say they're staying overnight or they're coming for the weekend, they can check in with the management office and get assigned an additional space for the duration of their trip.
Okay, and then no charging stations for guests or?
No, there'll be charging stations as well. So charging stations will also be located at the clubhouse as well. It's a little bit of a different system than the residents and how they charge their cars, but they would have the ability to charge their car in the guest parking spaces as well.
Okay, and then my main concern was just the overspilling into adjacent neighborhoods. We've had multiple situations in Santa Maria where multifamily home, developments overspill into adjacent neighborhoods, and, city permits are involved, where the homeowners have to get a city permit to park in front of their home, and then that's a whole thing. But I do appreciate you going above and beyond the state requirement there. In regards to the height requirement, I appreciate that you're providing the higher ceilings for the residents there, and also the position of the building being in the center of the lot. But no other
I'll just point out one thing regarding the parking one more time. So a lot of the projects that have those issues were parked per the state density bonus law, which is why they have those issues. So that's why we added that additional 141 spaces. Additionally, a lot of those projects are located directly adjacent to single-family neighborhoods that have the ability for street parking. The entire Blossom Ranch site is, each neighborhood is a gated community neighborhood, so there wouldn't, someone who doesn't live on that site would not have the ability to drive into that neighborhood. And on La Brea Avenue and Western Avenue, Blosser, Depot, Battles, and Stowell, there is no street parking today, so they would really have to park somewhere really far away to be able to access their unit.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Blanco.
Not right now, thank you.
Okay. There's an exit gate on Blosser?
Correct.
Okay. Mark, on the entranceway, is there some way to, is it legal to designate like the inside lane for the guests? Just to keep that outside lane for the residents? Because it's the guests that are going to have to be using the phone. They're going to be having to use that punch. Is that even worth it? Or have you guys had issues with that in the past?
Not really. The guest access is primarily during the day, and a lot of residents are, leaving their homes to go to work in the day. But we have no problem adding striping to designate a guest lane directly adjacent to the call box, and then the secondary lane for residents.
It might be a good idea just to keep everybody flowing well. That way the people that are stopping, and there's always the person that has the wrong code or the wrong thing, and they're sitting there, and then they start stacking behind. So that probably wouldn't be a bad idea if we could incorporate that.
Yeah, Dana, do you mind bringing up, I think it's the slide with the entry gate? So this kind of gives you an idea of those two lanes you were referring to. We're happy to add that addition of the striping to designate the two lanes. And one other thing I just wanted to point out is that median divider allows for a car to turn around if they're not getting access to the management or whoever they're coming to visit, and actually leave the project. So hopefully it won't cause any traffic jams essentially.
That's what we're hoping. So yeah, just thinking in the future that might be a way to alleviate a little bit of the problems that do occur at a gate-guarded situation. When you say the access points, that you're including the pedestrian access points?
Correct.
And are those gate-guarded also?
Those are, there's a gate on there with access control. So if you are a resident, you have a card reader, and if you're a non-resident, the only entrance you can walk into would be at that main entry off of La Brea with an additional call box as well. So there's a secondary call box only at that one pedestrian access point off of La Brea. But if you're a resident, you can access from any one of the three entry gates using the access control system.
And they're probably self-closing gates and all that? Yeah, perfect, okay. What is life-size chess?
Life-size chess is exactly how it sounds. It's a chessboard that is life-size. So it's to the scale of humans, and you can play chess, with other people, and the pieces are almost as tall as you. So it's a very interesting.
So it's like what I've seen on TV then?
I'm sorry?
I've seen it on TV, I believe.
Yeah, probably.
And this is popular now?
It's very popular, believe it or not. And
It is, yeah.
it allows you to kind of look at the board in a different way as you're standing on the chess piece on the squares and moving those chess pieces around. So it's a good use of the brain. Put it that way.
Yeah, I played chess with my wife once. She won. We've never played again. But I enjoy watching sometimes. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. I don't stay up on stuff. So that's great. Okay. The bike lane, You know, I used to be a bike rider, and I quit. It's dangerous out there on the road. So when you say you're putting in a bike lane, that's just a white stripe on Blosser Road?
So the bike lanes were actually designed as a part of the specific plan and together with the PI, public improvement plans that were recorded along with the final map. So it's a bike lane along La Brea Western and all along Blosser, Stoll, and Battles. On Depot, I don't believe that there's a bike lane that's going in on that side, but we're just following the code that was implemented.
How wide is that, Mark?
Chair Seifert, I don't know the exact dimension. It's either 5 or 6 feet.
Okay, and that, because now there's a law that the cars have to stay 3 feet away from the bike riders, right?
That's correct. If you're
So we
passing.
have room for all that on Blosser? Because that Blosser is one busy son of a gun.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all
And
right.
to add one point to that, sorry, each of the buildings actually has long-term bike storage with a little bike repair facility. So each of the apartment buildings on the site. So if someone wants to, put air in their tire, fix their chain, they can do it on the site before, they have to drag it, otherwise put it on a car, take it to a repair center. So we're providing that.
I remember
amenity
you
as well.
stated that. Yeah, that's a great idea. And let me see if I got anything else. You said that the trees that you're going to be putting are the 24-inch box trees?
No, so they range from 15-inch box trees. It's all the details are on the landscape plans, but I can tell you that the parking lot trees that are located in those mediums are 25-inch box trees.
I know Commissioner Dickerson would like that answer, so thank you for that. That's one thing he really likes is the bigger trees. So that's great. And you're doing the sewer improvements. That's great. I do want to say that thank you for listening, for all the stuff that we've inputted and actually going above and beyond. We've had projects come in here that actually they stuck right to that state law. And as Commissioner Mahajer said, I'm sure we're going to be hearing about parking situations and people that are unhappy. And then I related the other night that I went over a friend's house and now I need a parking. I have to get a parking thing from him to park on the street because they have so much overflow. So the parking is a huge situation. So thank you for that. And also for the covered parking. I know we wanted it on the last project and couldn't get it. And so for including that, I really think that's important. When you come home and if it's raining or whatever, even on a hot day, it's nice to have a little bit of shade. So that's great. And I noticed you added a lot of street trees at the parking area. And it's funny because my old partner, Dan, I was having a conversation with him about these trees one time, and I said, man, I love the big trees, the canopy. I love to park under there. And he says, I hate it. He gets all that stuff on his car. He doesn't want to wash it all the time, and he was totally against trees. But I'm a tree guy. He was. Yeah, I was kind of blown away. But I like the shade. I usually have my dog with me or whatever. I like to keep the seats. So thank you for including that. And those are the bigger trees, so they'll grow quickly. And I'm sure that you've got the right species so that they'll create some shade. So I do appreciate that. I believe that's everything for me. Did you?
Sure, can I maybe add one more
Absolutely,
thing?
Commissioner Blanco.
Just to add to your comment about access is, so off of Blosser, that's a right-in, right-out only. Is the arrangement there, is the gate offset there as well?
No,
Maybe
it's
not the
only right
45 feet?
out. So you can't
There's
enter
no
the
in?
site. No,
Oh, there's
you
no
can't.
in, okay, so that's just the right out.
That's just the
There's
right
no
out.
right in, okay.
Yeah, and the gate
okay.
is set back from the sidewalk, yeah.
Okay, and I guess on the right out, it doesn't matter as much. I wasn't sure if there was a right in also there. I do like your comment on the bike paths. I think on Blosser especially, we should probably take a look at that, in my opinion, and provide as much room as we can on that edge because it's a fast road. And if you're anticipating pedestrians and traffic in that area, maybe the more room we have there, the better. So. Mark, like you said, you don't know for sure maybe what that width is, but if we could eke out a little more room, maybe buffer that lane a little bit, I would say that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, Commissioner Blanco is probably not privy to this project, but absolutely we're taking a look at our active transportation plan and increasing widths. We recently did a trip to NACTO, not that people really care, but it was great to see all the pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure that is being used elsewhere, and it does encourage people to get out of their cars. So it's something we're taking a look at Blosser.
Perfect, thank you. That's it?
Thank you, Commissioner. I believe that's it for our questions. Do you have another question, Commissioner Mohajer?
I just wanted some clarity, maybe staff can answer. At what point do we implement, like, speed bumps, for instance, in any proposed project?
Well, and Mark may want to add to this, but it can be an issue with, I think internally on the project, it might not be a problem, but a lot of times it can impede emergency vehicles. So if there's, a ambulance or a fire truck trying to get somewhere and there's a lot of speed bumps, that can cause an issue. But Mark can explain more about that as far as how the city has implemented them in the past.
Yeah, so the Public Works Department in the city doesn't really have jurisdiction over what goes on within a project site in terms of speed humps and speed bumps, raised crosswalks, et cetera. The fire department will likely make comments to Dana's effect. When it comes to public streets, we do need to work closely with the fire marshal for that reason. They have final say and jurisdiction over any kind of traffic calming that's installed, because it could affect their response times. If there was a request in the future for some kind of traffic calming measures to be placed on Blosser, any of the public streets, we have a traffic calming policy that would go through my department and the traffic committee.
I just want to add, in a meeting with the fire department, they did have that concern of adding the speed bumps. We looked into that. In lieu of that, though, we are implementing, signage that has a speed limit of 15 miles per hour within the community, and it's enforced by the management company. The tenants sign that and agree to it when they move in. There's also be stop signs, so to allow for the flow of traffic, and that will be managed by the manager.
Perfect, that's what I wanted to hear, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think that I brought up speed bumps one time. I was shot down by the fire department. Yeah, they have those big, expensive trucks full of water and all the gear, and the last thing they want to be doing is, hitting a bump and when they're trying to get to an emergency situation. So I think the fire department does have something to say about that. Yeah, thank you, Mark. At this time, we're going to open the meeting up for the public. I have a lot of written communications. Is there anyone in the audience? Well, actually, we'll do the written first. Well, that is the audience, I guess. Is there anyone on Zoom? I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
If you're on Zoom and you'd like to make a comment about this item, please go ahead and raise your hand. Thank you. I'm not seeing any hands raised.
Okay, very good. We'll keep it to 3 minutes, and the first speaker is in favor, Alex Castillo, followed by Lindy Hatcher, and followed by Heather Gray. Alex Castillo? No? Okay, I guess Alex must have left. Lindy Hatcher, you're up. Please state your name and address for the record.
Lindy Hatcher, 60 Costa Azul, Los Osos. And I am representing the Home Builders Association of the Central Coast. And the HBA supports projects like Blosser Ranch development in Santa Maria. And we believe this multifamily project will positively contribute to the rental needs of our city with a variety of apartment styles from studio to 3-bedroom. It offers housing to a diverse group of Santa Maria residents and includes 13 units, as we heard, for very low-income individuals and families, as much as well-needed workforce housing. The project amenities are so impressive, and they're just going to enrich the lives of the people living there. The parks, the tot lot, what a great concept. That's the first time I've heard of a tot lot going into a housing project, and I just love that idea. Pools, spas, barbecue pits. I mean, these are amenities that people just look for when renting apartments. And the dog park area, to try to focus dogs in one area is a really great idea. I love the environmental friendly work that they're putting into this. The EV chargers for every unit, I mean, that's huge, that's not required. That's above and beyond. Bike lanes, you know, done right, they work well. All the trees that are going in, the drought-tolerant landscaping, and all the infrastructure going into this project, we really see it as a benefit for the community. We believe this project aligns with Santa Maria's vision for responsible growth and expansion, and it adds more housing stock to reduce the skyrocketing costs of rental prices. So the project would create employment opportunities as well during the building phase and the commercial phase, inspiring economic development and employment of our local workforce. For these reasons, we support the Blosser Ranch project and projects like this that come before you. We ask you to thoroughly but timely review the project, because time delays on projects add tens of thousands and sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars to projects, which are always passed on to the renters and the buyers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Could we hear from Heather Gray? Followed by Daniel Rinksmeyer.
Hello, good evening. My name's Heather Gray. I'm located at 2529 Professional Parkway here in Santa Maria. I'm also the president of a Santa Maria-based electrical engineering firm, Gray Electrical Consulting and Engineering, and our firm has been in business in Santa Maria for about 10 years now. We've worked quite extensively with the Canfield Group on the Lot 7 project and had the pleasure of planning with them for all of their electrical infrastructure needs. We've also been involved with them as we looked at lighting design concepts, analyzed spill, analyzed glare, and really looked to create a safe and well-lit environment. What they're doing with EV charging is absolutely unprecedented. We don't have a lot of customers who make that commitment to the residents, and we find that to be a really strong benefit to the community and very much bracing, you know, where the industry trends are going. And just progressively across the board in terms of how they're planning and all the careful design that's been going along, and it's been a joy to work with them. And for all those reasons, we strongly support the project.
Thank you very much. Daniel Rinksmeyer. Please state your name and address for the record. Followed by Rebecca Velasquez.
Good evening. My name is Dan Rinksmeyer. My address is 5975 Oak Hill Drive here in Santa Maria. I wanted to come again tonight to speak in favor of this project. I think it's a great project. It's going to do a lot for that area, and it's going to do a lot for the people of this town and things that are going on even at Vandenberg. And it's kind of interesting with this project in all the past few months, whether it's day-to-day activities or social gatherings or talking to the neighbors, I'm yet to hear one person with a negative comment. Everything is positive, and frankly, it usually is how soon are they going to be available, because people are interested in family or somebody, renting these units or using them. So anyway, I just wanted to take a minute and tell you that I think this is a great project, and I'm glad you could help bring it forward.
Thank you for being here. Rebecca Velasquez, followed by Glenn Morris.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Velasquez. My address is 1343 West Beacon Way, and I'm speaking in favor of the project. I'm a resident very nearby, and I'm very excited to have some affordable housing in the area, especially in a safe, private community with all the amenities like within the community. I have 3 small children, and it is a pain to get us all in the car and somewhere. So I love the idea of like being able to go outside and enjoy being outside, but in, not having to drive anywhere, basically. And then also I'm really excited for the street improvements that would create kind of a safer walkability in the neighborhood for me and my kids as well. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. And Mr. Glenn Morris. State your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you, Chair, members of the Commission. Glenn Morris, Chamber of Commerce, 614 South Broadway. I just want to make a couple of quick points, and really, I think you've heard about the project, so I'm not going to spend any real time on that. I want to make some observations about process. You know, I think the commitment in this community that is emerging is that we want to be a community that will build a full spectrum of housing options. And I think the decisions you've made a month ago, this one, others that are in the queue, are how we fulfill that commitment. We're not just building one type of housing in Santa Maria. We're really trying to build housing that really covers the full life spectrum. And so I think that's a positive. The reality of the world we're living in today is that we're going to have to make accommodations and modifications to you know, the long-standing ordinances and the community standards that they attempted to enforce. We can do it by choice, we can do it through negotiation, or the state can just tell you to do it. And I think, you know, too often these conversations end up adversarial, and you know, somebody trying to get away with something and somebody trying to make somebody do something they don't want to do. And sometimes this happens here. I think this process has been a great example of what you can achieve when both parties come to the table in a respectful conversation that includes some give and take, right? And allows for you know, some of these exemptions, but also recognizes that there have to be some accommodations both ways. What you get is a project, I think what we've heard today, that exceeds the minimums. It may not always achieve the maximums, but it exceeds the minimums, and it allows for amenities that make the project something that we can be proud of in our community. The other piece that I would say in terms of timing, you know, we keep talking about those community amenities in terms of the school and the park. You know, they're downstream a little bit, and the quicker we can get through the approvals on the projects that are you know, included in this master plan, the quicker the city can get to building a park and the school district can get to figuring out what they're going to do with their property. And finally, Chair, I would just offer, if we can get you into a game of life-size chess, we'll make sure you're not the first pawn sacrificed.
I don't know how you're going to get that done, because it is not my game. But thank you. Thank you for being here. Any more on Zoom? Are we good? Okay. I'm going to, well, no, we're going to have rebuttals.
Sorry, Chair, I spoke too soon. There is a hand raised now on
Okay,
Zoom.
let's go for the Zoom.
Ted Wendell?
Okay.
Hi, my name's Ted Wendell, and I sure hope you can hear me. The address is 1075 East Batavia Road, Santa Maria. I'm the Senior Vice President for A.T. Still University. I'm very disappointed I can't be there tonight, but I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, where it's 103 degrees. You can imagine how disappointed I am not being there. I want to speak on behalf of the needs of our university. We have a campus in Santa Maria that we started 2 years ago. We bring 90 students into the community each year, and the biggest challenge we have is finding affordable, appropriate units. This project really does address the needs of our students as well as our faculty, because they're always looking for temporary housing. When they move into the community, they're not willing to jump out and buy a home. They like to rent a unit, and these units are just ideal for that sort of thing. So just to make this short, I do appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. I urge you to approve this project, and I appreciate your attention tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay. I don't think there's anything to rebuttal on. So is there any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'm going to bring it back to the commission. Do we have any discussions or motion? Commissioner Mahajer.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I just want to say, overall, I think the approval of this project provides for a variety of housing types the community needs. I think the developers made good use of the outdoor space and like the Zen Garden, you know, the pet run or pet park. I really think that really promotes outdoor living, and that's something that I'm on board with.
Thank you. Commissioner
Yeah,
Blanco?
thank you, Chair. Yeah, I just want to thank the applicant for really kind of listening to our prior comments on not only this project, but other projects. I think carrying forward those comments to this project has been really good. I mean, I know we had even down to a foot of sidewalk made sort of a difference on another project, and I think Chair Seifert even brought up after the lots 8 and 10 meeting that he was very glad that we had gone that route because he'd recently witnessed somebody actually fall off the edge of a sidewalk that was only 4 feet wide. So I think it's going to prove invaluable, and I appreciate the continued attention to those kind of things. The parking, I do appreciate the conscientious look at the parking. I've mentioned it to you guys, we've had that issue throughout the city, and we've had many people come out, complain about parking and overspilling into communities. And so I think, looking at that has been very important. I appreciate that a lot. I do like the look, and I like the architecture. I think the variety that you guys are offering with some of the accents makes it nice. I do like the taller buildings. I think they can turn out to be pretty nice as well. I think the minor variances that are being asked for are so minor that I don't think they're negligible, really. 19.07 versus 20, so who's going to notice that? And I think obviously providing more housing for the community, but providing it in the right way, going through the right design process, I really appreciate that. I appreciate the opportunity to actually listen to some of the the preliminary discussions we had. Ex parte communication, I think, is also helpful. So anyhow, I think they've done a very nice job in really addressing our concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I echo both commissioners' comments. This has been a pleasurable experience working with you guys. You've listened, you've exceeded what you needed to do, and I can only hope in the future we get more projects like this. It's important to hear what the community needs, and this parking thing is a real issue. I've talked to some people that really, they get very upset about this. So having those extra spaces, having the covered parking, having the amenities, going the extra mile, I'm excited to see it, and I think the residents there will be happy with what they end up with. So I wanted to thank you for that.
Yeah, I just want to just say thank you guys for the dialogue. I think it produces a better project, like Mr. Morris mentioned, and we invite you for a rematch with your wife. We're looking forward to it. It'll be live televised as well.
We've been married 35 years without one game of chess, and we've been together for over 40, so I don't think it's going to happen. I think she would be happy to play. Just saying, but thank you. Do we hear a motion?
Yeah, I'll move that we approve plan development permit PD 2022-0013.
As conditioned.
As conditioned.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Blanco,
Aye.
Commissioner Mohajer,
Aye.
Chair Seifert.
Aye. Your project has passed. Thank you very much. Good luck in the building process. we'll just be here by ourselves. It's okay. We can do it. Everyone's leaving.
No, she didn't stay for this.
Well, that's okay. We're a good group. Okay, other business, oral reports from planning commissioners? Staff?
Yes, I just have a short update. We have a study session tomorrow at 1:30 in Shepherd Hall, and we're going to be discussing the cooler project in Area 9 that we were talking about last week, so we'll bring that back. And then our next hearing after that would be on June 21st. And then June 22nd, the study session on that date is going to be canceled. And then that pushes us into July. I did send an email today with all those dates.
Perfect,
So you
thank
shall have that. And that's everything I have to update you on, so thank you.
Okay, I did see one of my banner signs on a building somewhere, but I can't remember the building right now. I'll get back to you on that one. So it shouldn't have been there, but I can't remember the building. I'll see it again. With nothing else, I think we're adjourned.